Hey there, Lori Kirstein here from the Goodbye Good Girl Project. I was thinking this morning about something, and it has to do with our efforts to be liked and the ways that we do it that we may not be aware of. I'm a big fan of being aware of what's going on because it gives me choice. Now, one of the things that we do, and I noticed I was doing it myself on Slack this morning, I was talking with my assistant who does amazing social media stuff. So I was chatting with her, and I knew that what I was saying, what I was typing in the Slack was probably going to come off a little bit, or could come off a little bit harsh. So what I did was I put LOL exclamation point at the end, and it got me thinking. We do this a lot, sometimes when it's really appropriate and sometimes when it's not appropriate at all. So if I'm more invested in being liked than I am in accomplishing a task and expressing myself with all the kindness of which I know I am capable and doing my very best, then that is the most we can really expect to do. One other prophylactic, as I call it, sort of thing that we do is we use our voices in a specific way. So many ways that we do this, but I'm crazy about the voice, and I've studied this for a very, very long time. So when I was out in California, I found my way to a teacher who said to me when I went to work with him, he was an acting teacher, and he said to me, "So read this speech." So I read the speech, and he said, "Why do you do that?" And I said, "Why do I do what?" And he said, "Why do you, with your voice, ask a question at the end of every sentence, like I'm going I'm going to the store and I'm going to buy some shoes," which usually is reserved for questions. "Do you want some pizza?" So I said, "I'm not doing that." He said, "Oh yeah, you are." I said, "That's not possible. I make fun of other people." I did at the time. I was like unconscious about the whole thing, and I was like, "Oh, how could people talk that way?" So here he is going, "You talk that way." I'm like, "Okay." So I really really respected him, and also I've become very accustomed over the years to taking lessons from people, to being open to seeing if something that somebody says is true or not, rather than being just, "No, it can't be because I don't see it." So I said, "Really?" He said, "Yeah, really." And so I read it again, very conscious. He said, "You still did it." I'm like, "That is crazy. That's crazy." I thought I had enough consciousness and enough control that in doing it again, I wouldn't do it that time. He's like, "Nope, you did it." Dang. So I did it again and brought even more awareness to it. And that time I heard it. And I was like, "Oh man, I am doing it." He said, "Yes." So that's when I stopped. That's when I started to become aware of it. And the thing about doing the question sort of statement of, instead of "I'm going to the store," saying "I'm going to the store." I mean, I even have to like cock my head when I say, it's a very disempowering way to speak. And when we become aware not only of that top layer of that sound, but then we become aware of how it feels in the body, and then what it does to our emotions, and then how it makes us show up in the world, and then how that impacts how other people respond to us. Then we are not only cooking with gas, we are also getting to be super entertained. We're getting to be super curious instead of super self abusive. Instead of like, "Oh, you shouldn't be doing this, Lori. You should be better than this, Lori. You're terrible. Like, no, no. If we really, really, really want to grow, if we really, really want to be our best and freest version of who we are, we cannot follow the old paradigm of focusing on what's wrong as a mode of punishment. We've got to focus on what's not working and understand how it's not working for us. The punishment that we are taking by doing these things, that once we're aware, we then can start to use that amazing tool of curiosity and awareness to say, wow, is that really what I'm doing? Sometimes it doesn't feel so good to see it, right? Sometimes it's like, oh God, I'm going to go hide under the bed for a week. But once you come out from under the bed, you're going to be like, okay, now I have to figure out how I approach this. And how you approach it is with kindness and curiosity rather than self-punishment and any kind of sense that you are fundamentally flawed or wrong. So there you go. We can be better without being meaner to ourselves. Hope that helps. This is Lori Kirstein with the Goodbye Good Girl Project. If you want to work with me one-on-one, or you want to bring me for a talk, or you want to work with me in a group, let me know. I'm at support@goodbyegoodgirl.com.